Well, this is the end of Lot's life story in Genesis. And as we considered on Sunday, it's a pretty depressing finale. His relationship with Sodom had done his relationship with God very little good. The problem wasn't that he was there, it's that he was there for all the wrong reasons. As we've seen over the last few weeks, the story of him going to Sodom doesn't read like he saw this as some kind of mission field or anything. Back when he was given the opportunity in chapter 13, he'd taken his eye off the promised land with its gospel hope and he'd chosen Sodom instead. Unlike Abraham, he wasn't looking forward to the city with foundations whose architect and builder is God. He wanted the security and comfort of bricks and mortar and free-flowing water right now. All the other comforts and pleasures that Sodom could offer him were no doubt also a draw. And because his eyes had been drawn away from Christ in such a way, the door was open for sin and corruption, the sin and corruption of Sodom, to enter into his life. And this not only damaged his faith, as we saw on Sunday, it also damaged his witness. And that's what I want us to think about and pray about tonight. We thought a bit more about Lot's faith on Sunday. Tonight I want to think more about his witness and the impact that this sinful city had upon his witness there. And in order to get an idea of how his witness was compromised in that place, we need to look no further than his very own family. How well had he led them and witnessed to them of his faith in Christ? Well, what's the indicators in this chapter? Well, his sons-in-law didn't even take him seriously when he told them that judgment was on its way. They might have looked at him as just, don't listen to what he says. He's off his head or he's a bit of a clown. His wife's heart also clearly belonged to Sodom. And so she was also consumed by Sodom's judgment. She looked back, didn't she, showing that her desire was in that place. Her heart was in that place. And so the judgment that belonged to that place also belonged to her. And then we consider Lot's daughters in that part of the passage that we didn't read, but you can read it yourself at the end of chapter 19. We think of Lot's daughters there. Although they'd survived, they soon put some of their borrowed morality into practice, didn't they? In order to have children, they got their father drunk and they raped him. There's no other way of describing it. Now, were they exclusively to blame for this shocking behaviour at the end of chapter 19? I would say absolutely not. All they were doing was following in their father's footsteps. And why wouldn't they treat him like a piece of meat when in verse 8 he tried to throw them to the dogs as some kind of like sexual sacrifice? And the point of all of this isn't just a focus upon Lot's sin and to think about the poor witness that he was as a result of that, but to reflect upon perhaps some of our own experiences in life and maybe how the sin of this world and the sin of our own desires has caused our faith and our witness to be compromised in that kind of way. So tonight I want us to encourage to think ourselves about how we need to watch ourselves when it comes to sin. Not just for our own faith and walk with Christ, but for the benefit of those around us as well who need Christ so much. If our walk with him isn't right, if it's wonky, as it were, then our witness of him will also be wonky too. So let's come now to a time of prayer over these things.